Welcome back to the Wolff Den. Happy Tuesday, right? Tuesday?
Yeah.
Losing track of days here. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the Wolff Den. We had a long break while at a trade show last week, and we're happy to be back with Mitch here. Going to talk about rock and roll music, but for the listeners who don't know who you are, give them a little quick introduction.
Well, I'm Mitch Lafon, and my lights just went out. Well, all right. Well, we'll deal with that in a second. But I'm Mitch Lafon. I interview rock stars. There we go. And I run a reasonably successful Twitter at Mitch Lafon. Got verified, which is very cool, I think. And I've been doing this since 1996 about.
1996. So I guess the obvious question is, how did you get into music and have such a love for music?
Well, if we're going to talk about how I started if we talk about the career, that's one thing. But how I got into music, I lived in a very small community, about 500 people. There was nothing to do. There was no cinema. There was no businesses. There was no 7-Eleven. There was no place to hang out. There just wasn't. There was raccoons and rabbits. So when I had to entertain myself, I just put on music, because those were the days of 2 TV channels, 3 TV channels. So I turned to the record player, and I turned to Beethoven and Mozart and ABBA and whatever else my parents had lying around. Eventually, my brother borrowed a Kiss record from a friend, and that set me off. The imagery, the visual, the sonics, and then from there I graduated to Aerosmith and Cheap Trick, and the rest is history. It was my entertainment. There was just no opportunity for me to do anything else, but there was no sports teams. There was nothing. It was
Where was that?
That was on the outskirts of Montreal, in a small village, and there was just nothing. I mean, in the 1970s, there was no public transit. There was nothing. So I got into music, and a great passion for it. And the funny thing with music for me is, I don't really deal with genres. I don't really deal with what the lyrical content is. All of that sort of goes over my head. If my ear likes what I'm hearing, I'm in. That's it. And it can be Duran Duran as much as it can be Kiss, as much as it can be Madonna, as much as it can be Slayer. It doesn't really matter. If my ear goes, ooh, I like that, I'm good. And I don't sit there and go, oh yeah, but they're talking about love and hate, and I don't care.
You're a big rock fan and
Huge rock fan.
Old school stuff. So does it gravitate towards that? Is there something else that takes you to where you want to go with music? For me, I always used to be a beats guy. If the beat has the sound that I like, I didn't even care what the words were. Now, as I'm listening, I am enjoying the lyrics a little bit more, but it's mostly still for the ones that have that kind of fast pace or a certain type. I love all kinds of music. Also, I've now become a huge country fan in the last 7-8 years, but I like everything: hip hop, Madonna, Lady Gaga.
It's funny. Yesterday I was chatting with Brad Gillis, and they have a song on their new album, and he said to me, "What are the songs you like?" And I said, "Oh, I like this song." And he goes, "Really? A lot of people say it's too country." And I go, "Yeah." And I go, "If you're out playing in the Midwest, which is where you play a lot of the times, half of those fans would go see Keith Urban the next night if he was in town. So go for it, add a little twang to your thing." I'm trying to think what song it was here. It was
there's such a mix too between, there's crossover and collaboration. It's just good music is good music, and that's all subjective also, because I'm sure we could talk about this. I think half of the top 40 is just garbage, but I also think that some of the old stuff that people love, it's not my cup of tea. And then there's stuff that I'd be like, look, I don't like it, but I understand why people like it. So music is such and it gets emotions high, right? There's so much, you got to defend your favorite artist or your favorite type of music. But
I gotta tell you, I'm not a defender of my favorite artist. I don't feel a need, or I don't feel compelled to make you like what I like.
Yeah.
I listen to it, and it brings me joy. And if you think they suck, okay, whatever, you know. Listen, and I always use the example of Bjork. There are incredibly passionate fans of Bjork. They love Bjork for everything she stands for. And I just cannot stand that music. And so what? Does it invalidate that they're enjoying it? Does it invalidate their passion? No. Should it? No. So, listen, I like a lot of the European bands that don't seem to do very well in North America. I like FM, the UK band, not the Canadian band. I like Thunder. I like Gothard from Switzerland, and I tweet about them, and a lot of folks go, "Well, it doesn't really matter in the States." It's like, okay, well, so you don't like them, so what? I think the last 3 Thunder records that were released in 2021 and then 2018 and are 3 of the best records ever released. I love them, and so it doesn't matter if you don't like it. It doesn't matter if some dude in San Diego doesn't like it. I like it. I walk the dogs, puts a smile on my face, works.
Yeah. Oh, we got a comment from Dana. Thanks for tuning in. She thinks lyrics are important, especially. I think lyrics are always important, I think, for some people. But then again, it's the sound. But today, it's a good point that Dana makes, because there's so much to talk about, and it just gives you another platform to put it out there and get people thinking while you're entertaining them, which is right as you're trying to make conversation. What are people trying to do? Well, we want to get out the vote. So what do? We have this whole big music collaboration, and we did the I Voted Festival. So you have to combine sort of entertainment with education, and I think music can combine all of that in one.
It can, but I mean, listen, I like Def Leppard, and when you listen to Pour Some Sugar on Me, Raise Her Little Love, or whatever the lyrics are, they're more alliteration. They're more a sound. The lyrics create a sound, and I like that sound. That they're not meant to mean anything,
right?
And I'm fine with that. And it's funny because I actually was interviewing the guys from Thunder recently, and I said, "Man, your new album is very political and has all kinds of stuff." And trust me, I didn't get that listening to it. I actually read it in a review. So I said, "Hey, you've decided to be very political on this album and blah, blah, and you've never done that before." And the singer stopped me and he goes, "Because we've done that on every single album. We even had one where we talked about child abuse." And I was like, "Oh, I never noticed." Now that's terrible of me not to notice the child abuse one, but I was just like, "Oh, I never noticed. I've just been walking along merrily bopping my head to this stuff." So I don't bemoan lyrics being important for people. Obviously, they are, love songs, wedding songs, heartbreak, psychological, suicide. I mean, I get that people love the lyrics. To me, they don't matter. And when I'm listening to Raise Her Little Love or whatever, to Pour Some Sugar on Me lyrics, you go, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. So, and it doesn't have to mean anything for me to have a smile.
So for me, I'm with you in the sense that it's the sound that gets me. But as I'm listening to it, every day while I'm on my walk on my playlist, then the lyrics kind of start to hit me a little bit. So, and I think, people write songs for the lyrics to make a statement, and some people write something because they think, hey, man, people are going to like to listen to this. They don't even know what the heck it means.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I do notice the lyrics, most of the times I'm just thinking about how stupid they are. Like, I'll no offense, but I mean, you look at Kiss, for example, and I don't mean to badmouth Kiss, but you listen to those lyrics and you go, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
What was that? Like, what was that for? What was that one? They have that song, Burn, Bitch, Burn, and you just go, what is that? So, I'm more I don't want to say negative, but when it comes to lyrics, I just sometimes sit there going, that doesn't make sense. What are you talking about? Like, I don't go, oh, that's so amazing.
My favorite lately is Icona Pop. I crashed my car into a bridge and I don't care. I'm like, what message are we sending to people here?
Yeah.
Dana says they get mad at her for not remembering names of albums and songs. I don't remember names of almost any albums. I'm terrible at that. I'm sure you know all of them because that's your thing. I really don't know albums. I know very few albums. Songs. We actually, like, Jeopardy has this thing where you can do name that tune.
Yeah.
On Alexa. It's actually fun. You get points for naming the song and the artist. So it's always like, hey, bonus points if you can name the song and the artist. A lot of people can probably only name one or the other. Or you say, I don't know who that is, and then I'll play you 5 songs. You're like, oh, I know who that is. What do you encounter most with music fans that kind of tricks them?
What kind of tricks them? Well, what really tricks them is when you tell them who really played on an album. They go, "Oh, Kisses, Gene, Paul, Ace, what?" And you go, "Really?" Because it was Tom Harper playing bass on that. They go, "No, what? It wasn't Gene. It wasn't." It's like, no, it was Anton Fig. What? What do you? So the fact that they have ghost musicians. Bob Rock, our favorite producer, Bob Rock, did Motley Crue's Dr. Feelgood, did the Black Album. His go-to studio guy is Keith Scott, the guitarist for Bryan Adams. And there are a lot of really popular albums by really popular bands where you go, oh my God, they sound so good. And you go, it was the Bryan Adams guitarist playing on it. And they go, what? What do you so that always trips up fans that the brand that is put on an album doesn't necessarily mean the band that's playing on the album.
And who wrote the song? I mean, I didn't even know this until probably, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever it was when you start to really get into the behind the scenes of it. But like, your favorite artist did not write that song. Someone else wrote it for him and they're performing it.
Yeah, Tesla's Little Susie. Everybody's like, oh, I love Little Susie from Mechanical Resonance. And it's like, yeah, but it was a band called PhD that did it. It was actually the 5th video shown on MTV. And they're like, it's not a Tesla song? No. And then you go, Heart, what about love? What about love? They go, wow, it's a great song. And I go, right. First done by a band called Toronto, out of Toronto, written by Jim Vallance. They go, that was a cover? Yeah. And you go, oh, the heart of rock and roll is still beating. No, sorry, Heart and Soul. Heart and Soul by you. Heart and Soul is a great Huey Lewis song. It's like, right, done by another band years ago. And they go, what? Oh.
Well, it depends how old you are, right? I mean, I'm 45, and you start telling me Can't Help Falling in Love by you, and I say you be 40.
Yeah. And you go, no, sorry, wrong. No, it's funny that and that's been the successful thing. I've often asked Tesla about the Little Susie thing, and they go, well, that was it. We did a cover, and we did a cover that nobody knew so that they would think we did it. And it's just like, oh, that's kind of smart, actually.
I like it. Have you seen the movie Yesterday?
Parts of it. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Oh, why is that?
I was watching it with my wife, and she walked out. So I decided to watch whatever else was on TV, hockey or football.
I thought it was a very well done movie. Cool for people who like music and just kind of a good idea. You ever think about
yeah, I need to go back to it. Actually, I just
it's definitely worth a watch. But if you could go back, the premise is, guy wakes up and everyone forgot who the Beatles were, and he kind of just starts playing their songs big. Is that the band you would pick? I mean, what band would you pick if you can go back and you can have you could be the person who has all of their
success?
Songs. Yeah, song success, all of that.
Boy, there's so many. I mean, obviously the Beatles are super rich. I don't know. I'd probably want to pick a band that maybe had more fun, more debauchery. Maybe I'd pick to be Kiss or to be Motley Crue or to be Van Halen.
Sammy or
oh, I'm a Sammy guy.
Yeah, I was never a Sammy guy, and I went to see them both, and because I was a huge David Lee Roth fan, and Sammy blew me away. I think part of it was because he had the better songs to sing, which is part of it, but he also his stage presence is incredible.
And his lyrical content was better. No, you see, my thing is I never liked Van Halen growing up. They weren't my band. I was Kiss, Cheap Trick, Aerosmith. Those were mine. Van Halen wasn't my thing. And then, of course, Friday night videos and MTV started playing Jump and Panama. And I went, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And then I got into it, but then he was gone. And then I had a buddy that we used to go everywhere to, movies and school and drive and, just drive around the block to try to see cute girls and the whole thing. And he had the 5150 tape and literally played it every day for 9 months. Every car ride, it was 5150. And that's where I went, oh, that's pretty. And, I had started off with like, oh, they changed singers and the hell with them. And that's where I found the love. So then I bought the CD and then their next album came out and then I bought that. And I happen to like Top of the World and Right Now and When It's Love. I like melodic rock.
Yeah, I do like those songs. Have you been to Vegas to see the Aerosmith residency?
I have never been to Vegas in my life.
No?
No. I have been to 32 states, but I have never been. Have I been to Nevada? No, I've never been. No, I've been to Arizona. I've never been to Nevada, which is very strange.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it, but it was there. The Aerosmith in maybe I forget MGM or New York.
It might have been MGM, but I have always wanted to go to Vegas. I've always meant to go to Vegas. There's the Scorpions. What do you call it? Residency coming up. There was the Def Leppard residency not too long ago. There's a Kiss residency. I should be there.
Yeah, you should be there. Rock of Ages,
and yet I never go
there.
Yeah. What is it? No, is it Rock of Ages? It's isn't it Rock the Vault? Rocking the Vault or something like that?
He's saying there's no video. I think the video should be working. We're not audio. It is a podcast either. I don't know. Is this a podcast? I don't know. I never know how to explain it.
But we do have video going.
Yeah, we got video going. So I don't know. Hopefully it's just because our faces are the real draw here. It's not the talk. That's why we have the video.
First time somebody's referred to my face as a draw.
That's why we have the video here. Well, let's go back to yesterday.
Powder. I'm all shiny.
A ton of great music movies. You got Elton John and the Rocket Man and the Bruce Springsteen one was great. Why am I blanking on names here? Bohemian Rhapsody. Have you watched any of those? Do you have a favorite kind of recent music movie?
Listen, I've seen all of those. Bohemian Rhapsody was great. Even that Kiss one on not the Kiss one, the Motley Crue one on Netflix. I mean, historically, all the facts were backwards, and if you're going to pick it apart for historical facts, it was nonsense. But for light entertainment, it was cute. Rockstar, of course, that first movie years ago was when did Rockstar come out? 96, 97. That was a fun movie. And Hired Guns. Have you seen the movie Hired Guns?
I have not.
Hired Guns is the story of all those bit players that get hired to be in bands. So Liberty DeVito, Jason Hook, and all these guys that just get hired by bands but never had their own band kind of thing, have always been the guy that gets hired in. That was a really compelling story because, there are guys that are having exceptionally successful careers, can literally walk down the street and nobody ever recognized them, and yet will be on the stage at Wembley Stadium or on Giant Stadium, which is not called Giant Stadium anymore. And you're just like, wow, you're playing to 50,000 people a night on a stadium tour with whoever, Pink or whatever, and nobody knows who you are because you're just a bit player, and yet you go home and you've got this $1 million home because you get paid super well, and you've never written a song, you've never even written a riff, you're just copying in most cases. And I find that fascinating that you can make an entire career of just being the go-to guy. You're the designated hitter.
Yeah. It's It's called Hired
Gun. Hired
Hired
Gun or
Gun.
Hired Guns?
Is that a Netflix show? Netflix movie?
It was. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. Here,
I'll have to check it out. Who would you like to see? I mean, if we had the next big biopic, who would you like to see?
The next big bio here. Let me see if Hired Guns is still there. No, Hired Guns is not showing on Netflix anymore, but it does exist. The next big biopic, done well. Boy, so many. I'd love to see one done on Aerosmith. I would love to see one done on Kiss, and I would actually like to see a two-parter on Kiss, like a good 2-hour biopic on the 70s, 73 to 83 kind of stuff, and then sort of an addendum biopic from 83 to up to now with all the changes and the controversies and all that. I think Cheap Trick could be fascinating because here's a band that has essentially 50 years of career and for 48 years have been the opener. They've always been somebody else's opener. They haven't really been an arena act other than 79, 80. Before that they were an opener, and ever since they're an opener. So I find that fascinating that, that they reached a certain level and just stayed there. And yet year after year, they put out new albums. They put out new music. That, right? People love the new music. And they're just there. They're just a mid-level band. How are you a successful mid-level band for 50 years?
Incredible, right?
It's bizarre.
It's incredible to see all the bands who are still playing and still doing very well, either touring, and I've been to a bunch of them. I used to go see Styx and different renditions of bands who've lost members, but still out there and making good music and entertaining. Have a big enough portfolio where they can. They don't even need to put out new music. It's funny, the people who want to hear, do you want to hear the new music, or do you want to hear all the songs that you love from the past? I got really upset at some of these bands that I saw, like Jefferson Starship and Styx, where they didn't play the songs I want, and then I realized they're not allowed to. They don't own the rights to it anymore, which is crazy. I was at Jefferson Starship, and I'm like, don't worry, no, they're going to play "We Built This City," and I'm like, there's no way they're not going to play it, and they don't have the rights to it, and it's crazy. Styx with Mr. Roboto, I'm like, they got to play Mr. Roboto, right?
Yeah. But now they've started playing it again.
Oh, did they? So I might go see him again because I was so disappointed. And then I saw it. And
it's funny. Everybody hated Mr. Roboto when it first came out, and now everybody wants to hear it.
Well, look, "We Built the City" is notoriously on the top 100 worst songs of all time. I love that song. So it's funny how people like. I just think I don't know. I think it's funny, and the lyrics. Who knows? I also like "Centerfield." To me, there's just songs that just they hit me.
Centerfield's a great song.
Yeah, but some
I like
people
"Glory Days" from Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, there's just songs that I like that people think are garbage, and songs that are the biggest hits in the world, and I'm just like, I can't get into Billie Eilish. I don't know why. I just can't get into her, and I know she's huge right now. It's not even that I don't like that kind of music, but everyone has their tea, right?
Yeah, speaking of big music, there's a band out of Japan called Blackpink. And they do dance, like Beyonce or whatever. They have 63 million subscribers on YouTube. Almost every single one of their videos has over 1 billion views. Like the other day, Guns N' Roses has 1 billion streams of this, and Bon Jovi reached 1 billion streams on "It's My Life," and Blackpink every single video. And I've never heard of them until last week. And I started looking at this stuff, and I'm going, I don't get it.
It's the Asian market, right?
But yeah, well, that's the thing. They sing 99% of their songs in Japanese, and it's just amazing to me that that there are bands and artists that just exist in the world that have this incredible. Yeah, I think it is J-pop.
K-pop.
Or they're Japanese, so it must be J. I don't know.
Oh, is it? I don't know. Was the K Korean?
The K was Korean, yeah. I think it is J-pop, for the person that asked the question. And it's fascinating to me that you can have 63 million subscribers, and most of us in North America have never heard of you. And you can have literally every video has 1.2 billion views, and you just go, wow, never heard of you.
That's just it's this one high school out there who's just clicking all day, every day.
Yeah, and listen, I watched a couple of the videos to try to understand the phenomenon, and I get it. It's slick dance music. It's really well produced. Visually, I mean, obviously the girls are good, cute to look at. I get the attraction. I get why people are clicking and watching. But it's just amazing that there's this whole other world of music that exists outside of these borders that we have no clue about.
Yeah, I say it with people asking like, "Who's watching this?" Or I always say, I don't care how popular you are. I have people in my network who have never heard of you, and that's just it's unbelievable how big people can be, especially with the social media days. And you're just like, I have no idea who that is. I've never, even in music, like I've never even heard of these people. And we listen to a lot of music.
Well, look at that band Gothard that I mentioned at the top of the show. They're from Switzerland. They have had 28 platinum records in Switzerland. 28. Their greatest hits go platinum. Their new albums go platinum. They've also had 27 or 28 number one albums. And I love their music. And I'm looking at you, and I have no idea who he's talking about. And they're great. They're just a great, fun, melodic band. And there's another proof that there are bands that just have this great success, and it's just very regionalized. It's very contained. Sandbox, as we call it.
Yeah, one of the things that I don't like about today's music and the K-pop or J-pop
is Dana referring to Blackpink?
No, yeah.
It's borrowed.
I think she's talking about K-pop and J-pop in general. Yeah. But they're not singing; they're lip syncing, and that's a big pet peeve of mine. You see it on Saturday Night Live and all the award shows. And there's just the bands that you grew up listening to, they would never get up there and lip sync. I get maybe for a music video, that's the way they decide to do it. But it's just, if you can't get up there and sing, then don't. Like, let's find a way to get someone who is. There's thousands and thousands of really talented people who can get up there and sing. I don't care about seeing you dance. There's a ton.
But our favorite bands did cheat quite a bit. I mean, Ozzy Osbourne had a vocal booth under the stage with for years Robert Mason of Warrant in there singing along with him. They had a keyboardist off stage. Kiss for a bunch of tours, Hot in the Shade and Revenge, had either the guy that just passed away, I'm forgetting his name all of a sudden, but they had Derek Sherinian and others playing keyboards off the side of the stage. So there's always been some cheating. And Motley Crue, for example, their backing vocals are generally piped in. Their the piano on Home Sweet Home is a tape. The backup girls that they have, those sexy girls that they have, they're not actually singing. It's tape. So, there's been cheating going on.
It's still minimal. I mean, imagine Milli Vanilli today. Like, no one would care. Even when Ashley Simpson got,
You know what? No one should have cared then either, frankly.
Yeah.
What should have happened is when they were nominated for a Grammy, the record company should have said, listen, we're just marketing an image. These are the actual, they shouldn't have. That's where they fell down, is that the record company let the cheat go to that next level. And at some point you got to say, hey, wait, take us off that nomination list because we don't want to reveal what's really going on here. But they didn't do anything particularly wrong. I mean, there's a bunch of records out there. You look at Def Leppard, for the most part, Pyromania and Hysteria doesn't have Rick Allen playing drums on it. It's either Drum Machine or Mutt Lange or some other combination. That's what happens.
Have you heard Matt Nathanson's Def Leppard album?
I have long time ago. There was only like 6 songs though, I think.
Yeah. So I got into this. I don't know. I'm sure you have a really good collection, but Matt Nathanson did a
Nice.
live stream. So and part of the bundle came with the vinyl. So I'm like, that's cool. Then my friend on Record Store Day told me that Tom Petty came out with a new limited edition Cobalt. So I bought that on Record Store Day, and then I bought on the second Record Store Day, Pearl Jam came out with a new one. So I don't actually have a vinyl player. And then I bought the Beastie Boys. I was trying to get the Weird Al. Weird Al had one, but it's sold out, and then people are flipping it for like 3 times the price. Do you collect vinyls? Do you have them from the past?
I have some from the past that I bought, 79, 80.
Yeah.
But I have always, and first of all, I'll preamble it by this. If you're buying music, especially in a physical format, I approve, I support, go for it. If you want to buy 1 million vinyls, please do. That said, it's not for me, and I've always hated the format. I just, maybe it was because we had a shitty record player growing up, but you would hear the hisses and the pops, and you'd be listening, and they're just about to get into the chorus, and you hear, and it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake, and then portability. At the beginning of the 80s, we started having tape decks in the car, and just putting a cassette was so much simpler. You could just bring it with you. You couldn't bring the vinyl anywhere. So your music was a home experience. It was a bedroom experience. And then cassette made it a everywhere experience. And then, of course, CDs came out, and they just sounded clean and clear, and there wasn't the pop, and you didn't have to get up after 27 minutes to flip it over. And now the downfall on CDs was the Discmans were just useless. I mean, you try to step over a crack and the thing would just skip, and it was never good. But I'm real finicky about audio being good. Like I've got these Audio Technica headphones. I mean, these are the same headphones that David Coverdale uses. These are the, like, pro headphones, and it has to sound great. I don't do MP3. When I download stuff, it's all in lossless format. It's all, a song, instead of being 2 megabytes, is like 30 megabytes because I'm using the lossless format. And vinyl just never worked for me. And then you had to store it, and if you store them this way, they warp, and if you store it that way, they warp, and if water gets on it, and oh my god, just leave me alone.
So I'm actually a collector. I'm not going to play any of these. I don't have a record player. I just think it's kind of cool to have, because I love collecting things. That's just what I do.
Yeah, I'm
my friend does play them.
Kenny Loggins just sent me a test pressing of his latest album on vinyl. I have it. I kept it. It's a cool collector's item.
Yeah, we had an 8-track in our basement too.
Yeah,
we had one of those Born to Run and Culture Club.
Everything is CDs here. I mean, it's all I got stacks and stacks of CDs sitting here.
Yeah, I spent so much money on CDs because I liked one song.
New Night Ranger. Oh, listen, I'm a fanatic. I have to have every single song. So, I buy daily import singles, B-sides. I mean, I have to have it all. Like Bon Jovi has a song called "I'm Alive," and it's available on one CD single from France or something. Took me years to track it down, and when I got it, I paid like $40. So, and I was essentially paying $40 for one song, but I had to have it.
Yeah,
I can't be in a world where there's a Bon Jovi song out there that I don't have. But that doesn't make sense.
I'm a Jersey guy, so I know all about Bon Jovi.
Yeah, and listen, like this Night Ranger, they and I don't mean this as a brag, but they thanked me in it, and I had a copy. And I've had it for a while, and it was great. And this is the Japanese version, because guess what? It's got 2 bonus tracks. I'm a fan. I need the bonus tracks. I need the whole thing.
So how did you? Let's talk about the podcast, Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into that, and how do you get? I mean, you've had some of the greatest musicians
on there.
On there. So how does that work?
Boy, I was doing the print reporting, or for on, and then print magazines disappeared and they went to online, and I was doing some of the online stuff. And when we switched to online, they essentially stopped paying you, because they used to buy an article and print the article.
Right.
And then they went online, and then I started getting but we're not getting any revenue. Nobody's buying ads and people this, and then your story would appear on 8 different websites because another website would see it and just grab it. And I just went, oh, that's interesting. So I started doing the podcast. Somebody said to me, in fact, Ryan Roxy of Alice Cooper's band was one of the first guy who goes, have you heard of this podcast thing? It's fantastic. It's gonna be. So I started doing it, and I got picked up by Mark Striegel at Talking Metal, and we were sort of sharing stuff. And then Podcast One wrote me, and
Dana's giving I think talking about Night Ranger, Eric Levy.
Eric Levy, yeah.
Maybe.
Sorry, I have my microphone right in front, so I don't see what's scroll. Oh, you know what? Maybe if I put the comment. Oh, there we go. If I have the comments bar, I can see it better. But then I was doing it on the Talking Metal thing, and Chris Jericho, the wrestler, texted me out of the blue and said, I have a thing at Podcast One. Do you want to come over? Who owns your show? And I went, I own my show. I'm me. And brought me over to Podcast One, and we did a year there, and then he got a deal with Westwood One, and I did a year or 2 at Westwood One, and then Westwood One decided they wanted to keep only the Jericho show, and all the other shows that he was a part of, these wrestling shows, they were all canceled. They cleared the decks, and so then I went independent, and it turned out great because. On the podcast feed, there's advertising, there's digital, what do you call it? I forget the words, but it's early in the morning here. And I get all the revenue now. And I wasn't allowed to put any of my interviews on YouTube by contract. So there's a lot of interviews I've done with, Paul Stanley and Boy George that you can't get on YouTube because of contract. But when I went independent, I could put them all up on there. And so now YouTube became a source of revenue. So the podcast became monetizable, and it's been fun, and, I've retired about 12 times, but
Jericho, it has a 6-man cruise. I go on the Rock Boat, and Michael, there's a lot of Train has a cruise. Have you ever been on any of those music cruises?
I have not. And, growing up, we used to go to Denmark a lot because we're Danish, and there's a lot of islands there, and we always had to take boats to get to the different islands. I would always get sick. And people say, yeah, but it's not the same. There's stabilizer. But all I remember about being on boats forever is being sick. Just as soon as I step on a boat, I get sick. 1970s, where the technology on boat stabilization might not, but I just can't shake that feeling of every day just being sick, feeling like I'm going to vomit. So no, I don't go. I don't know. I just don't go.
How about on location? Like, all these bands are playing in the Bahamas for a weekend, or have you been?
That I would definitely go to. I haven't, but yeah, I'm right now. I'm mostly North America. I'll do all the East Coast states, Boston and New York City, and I'll do Montreal and Toronto. But yeah, I guess I need to do a cruise, and I need to get to Vegas.
I'm not there. A lot going on here. You might have to retire again to do it.
I'm just reading. I'm reading Dana's comments. Yeah, Eric Levy is an exceptionally nice guy.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
And
Still has an 8-track in her basement. Oh my God.
Yeah, we had one, but a long time ago when we were trying to. I don't know. I don't even remember using them, but I remember having them.
I remember using them because a friend had a Camaro back in the day that had an 8-track player because it was like the hip and happening.
I mean, isn't that what a cassette is? Just a small 8-track? The same idea. You push it in.
Well, 8-track never made sense because they would cut songs in the middle of the song because it wouldn't fit on the track. So they would move it over. Like I remember having the Cheap Trick. I'm trying to think which it must have been Dream Police, right? And they have a song on there called "Gonna Raise Hell." It's 9 minutes long, and on the 8-track, it was split. So I never actually got to hear the song in full until I bought the CD like 10 years later.
Yeah, try Stairway to Heaven, or maybe if.
It was so incredibly frustrating. Be like, "Gonna raise hell, gonna raise."
Then
you'd hear the as the track was switching, and you'd be like, "Rail," and it's like,
yeah, that's not a good listener experience for sure.
Oh, it was horrible.
Do you have a favorite? I mean, no one ever answers this. Do you have a favorite guest that you've had on your show, and do you have someone who you haven't been able to get that you would love to have on?
Well, favorite guest. Listen, there's always a bunch that are favorite for many
memorable,
reasons.
most memorable. Let's use that word.
Well, a lot of memorable ones. Listen, I did 45 minutes with Paul Stanley a couple of years ago. I thought that was fantastic. You know, Doc McGee's always been a good guest. I love having Alice Cooper on, and Alice Cooper is great because they've got rules. It's a hard 15, you know, so you'll talk to him and it'll be going good, and it doesn't really matter. You know, sometimes when you get into a good conversation, the artist will let you go.
Yeah.
And with Alice's people, my experiences, the 3 or 4 interviews, like at the 12-minute mark, you get a little text going, "You've got 2 minutes," and then you got 1 minute. And then at the 15-minute mark, the person comes on the phone and goes, "Well, that was great. Thank you for talking to Alice. We'll do this again soon." And it's done. And you just go.
Well, I did that. I had someone who wanted 20 minutes. I'm like, we can't even have a conversation in 20 minutes. Like, I'll when you have more time, or maybe when I get bigger, so you will want to give me more. But yeah, I guess if Alice Cooper wants to come on, you're going to give him the 15 minutes and take what you can get.
Yeah, and you know what? I used to be of the opinion that interviews should go forever, you know, but I've really come down to it as being a science. It's keep it to 20, 25, 30. You know, promo the stuff that they want to promo, the tour, the show, the movie, whatever they're promoting. Get that in and out of the way. Get a few of the historical questions, then get maybe a couple of the more sort of dangerous questions that might be more controversial, and then you're done. And yeah, I'm kind of like 25 to 30 is good. Well, let's aim for that, and then out we go. So, but other great interviews. I mean, geez. Listen, again, those bands from Europe, FM and Thunder, nobody knows them over here, really. And I just think that the singers, Danny Bowes from Thunder and Steve Overland from FM, are two of the greatest singers you'll ever hear. They just the melody that comes out of their voices is just fantastic. So I got a kick out of interviewing them.
And who would you love to have on that you haven't?
Easily John Bon Jovi. I mean, I've had Richie Sambora on. I've spoken to David. I've spoken to Huey, or you, not Huey. I would love to have, speaking of you, I'd love to have Huey Lewis on. You know, yeah. I've had Johnny Cola of the band on twice. But Huey Lewis, I love Huey Lewis.
So good.
You know.
If you ever had Ozzy Osbourne.
Medium, but not in a full interview. And I'll give you the context. Black Sabbath were having a press conference at the Bell Center in Montreal before their 13 show. Their album 13 came out there. And at the press conference, I was front row, right in front of Ozzy, literally arm's length away. And I got to ask him a question. And he looked at me and he answered the question. And I've actually seen that on YouTube. Me answering the question. I might have even have put it on my YouTube if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. Listen, I've been in a room with him.
Yeah.
I've crossed paths with him many times. Once at Ozfest, I was backstage and the bus came and everybody cleared out of the way, and I was like, "Oh, where?" And Ozzy and Sharon walked right by me. So I've asked him a question. He's answered the question. That answer did become a news story because with I'm trying to think what the question was, but he was doing the Sabbath stuff, and they were talking about, "Oh, I'm back in Sabbath. I'm back in Sabbath." And I asked him something like, "Well, will you ever do another solo album again?" or something like that. And his answer was something like, "Well, I'm focused on Sabbath right now, and we'll see." So, did I interview him semantically? No. Did I interview him sort of just, can I say that I asked him? Yes.
Yeah, I asked him a question. That's what interviewing is sometimes, right?
Yeah, so listen, there's a lot of people that have asked him no questions, so I'm one up.
Well, so Bon Jovi.
Yeah, listen, I love John Bon Jovi.
Yeah, my friend is a huge Bon Jovi. I mean, I like Bon Jovi too, but she was a huge fan. You ever see the movie American Psycho? A great scene when he's talking about Huey Lewis and when he's about to. Have you seen that movie?
No, I actually am not a horror movie person, so I haven't seen.
I gotta send you the clip.
People are always talking about Friday the 13th or Halloween, and I'm just like,
you'll just like this clip. It's just fun. It's very funny. I won't ruin it for you, but I'll send you the clip offline. Who have you been to the Hall of Fame in Cleveland?
No, the last time I was in Cleveland, it was to see the Cleveland Indians at Municipal Stadium. So it's been a while.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
I was going to ask. I was there. We did a family trip. It's got to be 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5. And it's interesting because it's like a lot of people are in the Hall of Fame without being inducted into the Hall of Fame. So there's a lot of displays about it. It's almost like Pete Rose being in the Baseball Hall of Fame, even though he's not inducted, but he's all over it. It's history.
Right.
Do you have?
I was at that Pete Rose game when he was with the Expos and he got his whatever 3,000.
Yeah.
What I was at that game.
Oh yeah.
When he beat the Ty Cobb record or whatever.
Are they mad? Do they want baseball back in Montreal?
They do, but it'll never happen. It'll never work. There's too much going on. Culturally, it's not really the sport up here. Up here, it's more about, swimming and hockey and soccer. So baseball's not, you look around at the sport leagues in the summer and you walk by and the soccer fields are just jammed with little kids running around. And you drive by a baseball field and you've literally got 4 parents watching their sons play.
Baseball, I mean, soccer is huge here in the U.S. It just doesn't get too far. And then baseball's tremendous here. Yeah. I mentioned the Hall of Fame because I think that Weird Al Yankovic should be in the Hall of Fame. That's my opinion. I think what he's done is unbelievable. Is there someone that you think should be in that hasn't gotten in yet?
Oh, there's 100 of them.
Someone who's just at the top of your mind is like, I can't even believe this person's not in the Hall of Fame.
Foreigner. Listen, we can argue all you want for Judas Priest and Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden definitely belong there. But Foreigner, their first 5 albums were top 5 on Billboard's 200. First 5, not your debut album, your sophomore album. And the first 5 albums were top 5. No other band can claim that. Kiss didn't have the first album's top 5. Judas Priest didn't. Iron Maiden. First top 5. Then you look at the singles. Hot Blooded, Jukebox Here, all that. Every movie, every TV commercial, every classic rock station has had those songs on at some point.
Yeah.
You look at the 80s and the charts of the 80s, they dominated. From the 4 album and maybe even before that, Head Games 4 all the way until Agent Provocateur and I Want to Know What Love Is, and just all over MTV, all over radio, all over. I mean, just huge. They were playing stadiums.
Still a great show. I saw.
And they sound better than ever, and they've affected classic rock radio. They've affected radio. They have I Want to Know What Love Is, to me, was sort of the big power ballad that led all those bands, because it came out in 84, 85, I guess, I think it was. And then after that, you started seeing the Def Leppards and the Poisons all going for that big ballad. So that's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame worthy to me.
Are they more like even Chicago and REO Speedwagon kind of came after them, right? With their
REO Speed, High Infidelity, I think, was 81, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have all my facts in front of me, but the problem with those bands, REO and Chicago, is that they're nameless, faceless. When you think of Kiss, you think of Gene Simmons' makeup. When you think of Aerosmith, you think of Steven Tyler and his lips. When you think of Mick Jagger or the Rolling Stones, right away, Mick Jagger prancing around pops into your head. When I say Foreigner and I say Rick Wills or Dan, you go, who are they? You go, that's the bass player. And the drummer, who? And like nobody knows. They go, hey, Mick Wall. Not Mick Wall. Mick Wall is the writer. Mick Jones. People go, is he a baseball player?
I don't know Mick Jones, but the Dropkick Murphys has a song, Mick Jones Stole My Pudding.
Yeah, you see? So that's the problem. If I say to you, who's the lead singer of REO Speedwagon? Most people go, I don't know.
I'm terrible with band members anyway, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's it. And that's part of the reason why they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, those bands, because they're somewhat nameless, faceless.
Yeah.
You know the songs, but you don't know who the hell did them.
Yeah, you might not even know the band. I think people know. I don't get as deep into music in the history. I didn't start really being a music fan until senior year in high school and college. So I kind of missed out on all that when I was, I grew up in the 80s and all of that. Didn't really get into it as much. So I don't know as much about the Led Zeppelins of the world and Kiss and AC/DC and all of that.
But you see, you think of all those bands, AC/DC and Led Zeppelin, right away an image pops into your mind.
Yeah.
You say Led Zeppelin, and you sort of see, Robert Plant standing on stage looking all, you say Queen and you see Freddie Mercury standing, you see AC/DC, you see Angus Young and the shorts and you say Foreigner, you go, right. Like there's no image.
Yeah.
Nothing pops into your head. That's part of the reasons why they can't get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because here, like the drummer is Dennis Elliott. People go like, Dennis who?
We mentioned MTV a few times. They just had a big anniversary. How have they been able to get away with being called MTV and not playing any music? Is that the great mystery of the 20th century, 21st?
MTV used to be branded music television, and it would say so in the graphic. Years ago, they got rid of that and they rebranded themselves as a lifestyle channel. And they made the announcement somewhere around 93 or 94. They said, we're now a lifestyle channel. And they got rid of the little disclaimer that said music television. It was just MTV. So I get it. But the other thing is that for at least in the 90s, before we had YouTube, the format of video was no longer interesting to fans. As we started getting a little bit into the internet with Netscape and web crawler, and fans started looking for their heroes somewhere else, and the concept of the video, when you look back, we can think clearly of videos that came out in 81, 82, 83, 84. You say Madonna, Debbie Gibson, Aerosmith, you go, oh yeah, right. And then you say, what was the video for Aerosmith falling down his heart on the knees? You go, they made a video for that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Or you go, Def Leppard Slang. You go, they made a video for that? Right? Because in the 90s, it wasn't really a thing anymore.
You Might Think and Land of Confusion, my two favorite videos.
Land of Confusion. Which Land of Confusion? Disturbed or Genesis?
I do. I mean, I like the song, so I don't mind Disturbed's version, but I like Genesis.
Greatest album of the 80s. One of the greatest albums. That invisible touch. People go, it's not real Genesis. Go,
I'd
Real
love
enough
to
for me.
see them. They're not coming anywhere near me on the tour. I got to figure that out.
No, they're coming. They're coming to Montreal in November for 2 shows. Tickets were $1,000, so I didn't buy one.
Yeah,
So,
it's crazy.
I'll see if I can get myself in somehow. But
I got a feeling you can.
I think once the schools open, I think we're going to be in Delta variant hell, and I mean, I know in the States things are going to stay open. Canada is a lot more conservative in its approach, so I think once that starts going, we're not going to do like Florida and Texas. I think we're just going to shut down.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm going to be seeing any shows in 2021.
Well, I hope I have a few. I missed the Hella Mega tour. They didn't. I flew to Arizona last week when they were here, and I haven't been able to find them. So, but I have a few shows. I saw Brad Paisley,
Nice.
and yeah, we got a bunch. I think Alanis Morissette's coming up in like a week or so. I'm excited to see her.
See, and you're exactly. This is what I was telling Brad Gillis yesterday. I go, fans like Matt will go see Night Ranger, and then they'll go see Brad Paisley.
Yeah.
So who cares if a Night Ranger song has a bit of a country thing to it? He was like, oh, people are criticizing. I go, so what?
Yeah, the fans of the music will listen to your music, and then maybe it'll turn them on to some other stuff that they didn't know.
Yeah,
see an opening act. Well, I always like to ask about Mount Rushmore. So give me a Mount Rushmore, either your favorite musicians / groups, or if you want to do drummers or guitarists, singers, any of them. Just give me 4. Give me a group of 4. Could be your favorite or what you think is the best.
Wow, 4 guys that should be memorialized.
No, yeah, I mean they could be living, just like the greatest. Singers or the greatest bands.
Well, I won't go with I'll go to the greatest in my world.
Dana giving us a little pun.
What's ironic? What's ironic is that the song "Ironic" is all about coincidence and not irony.
Yeah.
Boy, all right. So I'm gonna go off the beaten path. So obviously, for guitarists on the Mount Rushmore, you have to have Eddie Van Halen. There's no denying the fact. I'm a fan. He's the best. I'm going to see if I can do drummer. If I can do a full band here. Let me think. Who would be there for bass players? That's a tough one. All right, let me just keep going then. I'll go with another guitarist. I love Ace Frehley. I'm not a big fan of his current releases. They're sort of cop-outs with just covers album after covers album, but Ace Frehley certainly got everything started for me, so he definitely has to go up there. I probably would throw my my melodic rock singers up there, Joe Elliott and John Bon Jovi. And if we have room for a 5th, I would throw that guy from Thunder, Danny Bowes. His voice to me is just perfection. It's just absolute perfection.
Well, it might be a good segue into our final question, which we ask everyone. You can spend a day with anyone in the world. They have to be living. You can't be related to them. Who are you picking, and what are you guys going to do?
Right now, because I haven't had a chance to ever see these British bands that I'm mentioning, I would really love to spend a day with the guys from Thunder and just go see their shows. I just want to go see. I would love to just see them create, be in the studio, hang out, see how they put songs together, and then top it off with, after a day of studio sessions and seeing how they craft those songs that I love, a show, because they played in Montreal in 1992 in a small club before I had any hint of who the hell they were, and they've never returned. And I've had a chance to be in rooms with the guys from Kiss, and in the rooms with guys from other bands, and I would just like to be with the guys from Thunder, just because it would be so new and so fresh and so different. That's what I'm going. Obviously, I'd love to hang out with Ace Frehley all day, or I'd love to hang out with John Bon Jovi all day. But
you were going to pick Bon Jovi, but the guys, we'll put Thunder on the list. We're going to try and make it happen.
Yeah, I've had a chance to. I've been in a room with the Bon Jovi guys. Yeah. I've said hello to all of them. So So I'm going to have to go with a band that I've had no contact with other than interviews, because they just don't exist in North America, which is unfortunate.
Man, not a bad. That's our first. Is it our first answer outside the U.S.? I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. We've had 115 of them, so or 114 of them.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm not anti-US or anything. I just
no, I get it. I get it. I think it would be cool. I think that'd be a good experience. So it's on the list. Look, we could talk music for hours. I really enjoyed the conversation. Appreciate you coming on to talk. Check out Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon anywhere you can.
You should bring Dana onto the show to say hello.
She's I gotta jump to a call here. Follow him on Twitter too. Great Twitter follow
at Mitch
Lafon. Check out the podcast. Looking forward to following you and listening, going back to listen to some of your old shows on YouTube. And that's it. Welcome. Appreciate you on the Wolff Den. We're off tomorrow, but Thursday we're going to be with us on a special secret location, and we're going to talk with the people from Hilarity for Charity. Never know who's going to show up. Tune in to find out where we're shooting from, and have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Mitch.
Bonsoir. Cheers. There we go.